Hey everybody, Douglas Blair Roberts here, the brown skinned human, and of course the Super Beta 400 here, back for another video. And this time, this is a remake of a video I previously did last year, and that is my review of the entire Marvel Cinematic Universe from Phase 1 all the way to Phase 3. The first half of this video, the webcam portion, I will talk about movies from Iron Man all the way up to the Avengers. When I get to the Avengers, I will cut off and I will switch to narration. For those of you who want to see my previous review, wherever you are, whether it's Facebook or YouTube, the link will be in the description box below. I decided to redo this video to reflect my opinions on the Marvel Cinematic Universe now versus my opinions on last year, which for the most part are the same, but with a couple of changes. Sorry, that was a pop up on my computer. Gonna take care of that right now. Gonna pause this video to take care of that right now. Hold on, momentarily. Yeah, it's taken care of. Like I was saying, so yes, that's why I'm redoing this video right here. Like I said before I even get started, like I said in various Marvel Cinematic Universe video, I love and adore the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and I appreciate what they have done not only for comic books but the film industry in general. And I respect and to this day amazed at what they can achieve, the accolades and the amount of money that films based on comic books could achieve today. Today. I also like them for inspiring other franchises like DC to make their own cinematic shared universes. So yeah, and Marvel, every time I doubt them, every time they have films I don't like and didn't enjoy, but every time I doubt them, they always prove me wrong. Before I get to my review of all the films, my favorite films, of course, are the Iron Man trilogy, the Thor trilogy, the Ant-Man trilogy, um, Captain America, Captain America Civil War, the entire Avengers series, Doctor Strange, Spider-Man Homecoming, Guardians of the Galaxy, and yeah, those are all my favorites. Followed by the Incredible Hulk, one of the least one of my favorites, but one of the least greatest in my opinion. Then, like I said, Black Panther and Captain Marvel are the two Marvel Cinematic Universe films I like. I completely dislike. I do not like these movies right here, and I will be talking about why in this long video right here. But with that being said, let's start off with the very first film, Iron Man 2008, which I saw shortly after it released in 2008, and the film completely lived up to expectations. It was just as awesome as I thought it was going to be. But here's the thing, as awesome as Iron Man 2008 was, it was awesome. The film was spot on with the comics, only changing several minor details. Two of those details, the way Obadiah Stane dies, and another detail was the omission of Hawkeye, who his backstory takes place, and his first appearance was an Iron Man comic book. But everything about that film was great, and it's probably the best of the Iron Man trilogy. So yeah, it was an awesome start to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. When I saw Iron Man 2008 for the first time, this was just another comic book movie. This was just another generic addition to the X-Men, Fantastic Four, 2003 Hulk, Incredible Hulk, Daredevil, and Punisher type franchise. That's what this movie was, just another Marvel film. That was up until the post-credit scene where I saw Samuel L. Jackson as Agent Fury telling Tony Stark, Robert Downey Jr.'s character, who, by the way, I mentioned Robert Downey Jr., how awesome he was in Iron Man. I also like how he's real life parallel Tony Stark's a little bit. Um, I couldn't think of a better actor for Tony Stark than Robert Downey Jr. But let me continue. When I saw him telling Robert Downey Jr.'s character, Tony Stark's, that he's become part of a much larger universe, and they were talking about a shared universe and a series of lead up films to a setup to the biggest film, the Avengers film. That's when I got stoked because we've seen a bunch of superhero movies, but we had never seen a team up movie before. So this set Iron Man apart from all of the other comic book movies that were out at the time. The next film was Incredible Hulk 2008. This was pretty good. I always thought the 2003 Hulk was better, but I like the improvements this Hulk made over that film, such as more action, and not only more action, but getting a real villain that can compete with Hulk's strength in Abomination, one of my all-time favorite comic book villains and characters. And Emil Blonsky, I don't remember the actor's name, he was the MVP of this film. I liked everyone in the film. However, I thought the 2003 Hulk had a better storyline and a better cast, and I didn't like Norton, Edward Norton, as the Incredible Hulk. He wasn't bad, but he didn't act like Bruce Banner. He acted like his Fight Club character, which, by the way, I've never seen. But I've seen trailers of on the X-Men 2000 movie DVD, which my uncle owns. So, yeah, he didn't act like what's his name. I like Eric Bana, the pre from the 2003 Hulk, and Mark Ruffalo much better as the Incredible Hulk and the Incredible Hulk. I also like how while I like the old school Hulk, I like how Hulk in that film resembled his '90s look. But I like the old school version and the 2003 and the one from now better with the in game having, in my opinion, the best Hulk of all time, Professor Hulk. So yeah, that was that movie. The next movie, of course, was Iron Man 2, which was bigger and even badder than the first one. But the shock and awe from seeing Iron Man for the first time was gone. So this movie right here was nothing new, and it was basically the same. It was basically the same plot as the original Iron Man. But I like the inclusion of Don Cheadle as War Machine. Yeah, he replaced Terrence Howard. Terrence Howard was a better roadie, but I thought Don Cheadle looked much better, looked more intimidating in the War Machine armor. So yeah, the action, everything. The action, everything. Film was just as awesome, if not better than the first one. Only problems I have with the film that, like I said, it wasn't as exciting as the first one, and this film focused way too much on trying to set up the Avengers and Black Widow and Samuel L. Jackson. Uh, they Samuel Jackson especially. Black Widow was just a bland female fatale action hero, and Samuel L. Jackson played Samuel L. Jackson in this film. He didn't seem like Agent Fury in this film in comparison to the more recent Marvel Cinematic Universe movies. But that's something they will correct in the future. So yeah, and I enjoy Iron Man 2 much more now than I did back when I saw it. It was one of the best of 2010, which in my opinion, 2010 really wasn't that good of a year for films, but it was one of the best of that year. So that was Iron Man 2. Next is the next film was oh yes, one of the best of all time, in my opinion, one of the best MCU films of all time. I went into this film with low expectations, and I came out loving it. Back in the early 2000s, when I was thinking about all of these Marvel characters coming to life on the big screen, I thought about a Thor film in 2011. If you would have told me that Thor 2011 would be better than X-Men First Class, Thor would be better than X-Men First Class, X-Men, which I was a fan of first, I would not have believed you. I thought X-Men First Class, which is hugely popular, I thought that movie was terrible. It's okay now. It's not as bad as I thought it was back in 2011, but I still consider that to be one of the worst comic book movies of all time. And if you would told me that this movie right here, Thor 2011, would be better than that film, I would not have believed you, man. I would have laughed at you back then, but it was. Talk about going into the film with low expectations. The visuals, the actors, everything looked good, but I just didn't think it looked good. I didn't think Thor was something you could pull off in live action. This film proved me wrong. While changing a lot of things, I felt it was spot on with the comics and did did the series justice and did a good job translating the live action and making Thor real and relatable to audiences says I love the story of Thor, Loki, Thor story of Thor, Loki. I love the supporting characters in the Warriors 3, who I wish got even more screen time in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Heimdall, Odin, Frida, the Frost, Laufey, the leader of the Frost Giants, the Destroyer, made an appearance here as one of the major antagonists of the film. One of the major antagonists of the film, and of course, I like the realistic Earth. I like how they start off in the beautiful, mythical world of Asgard. And that's straight out of the comic books. The scenes with Thor getting banished, with him in street clothes on Earth, that part is straight out of the comic books. They omitted his secret identity. They also omitted a bunch of other characters and what's his name. But if you do research on the Thor comic books, they don't have time to include all of Thor's adventures and all of the stuff from the comics in this hour and 50-minute movie. So yeah. Then you had Natalie Portman, one of her best roles. Jane Foster, in my opinion, one of her best roles. And like I said, yeah, the film was just awesome. One of the Marvel's best. Marvel's best. I watch this film all the time. It's one of the films I still own on DVD. It's one of the last films I bought on DVD. So yeah, one of the best movies of all time and one of the best of 2011. The next film of all time, the next film that year was Captain America 2011, which in comparison to the most recent MCU films is not as good, but it's one of the best films of 2011, and once again, completely exceeding my expectations. When I heard Chris Evans was playing Captain America, I gave him no chance. He's a great Human Torch, Johnny Storm from the Fantastic Four movies, but I didn't see him. I didn't see him playing the much older, wiser, disciplined, and rugged Captain America. Prove me wrong. Prove me wrong. And now when I think Captain America, I think Chris Evans. So yeah, talk about this film was awesome. I didn't think a 1940s war drama comic book movie would be good. Would be good. I didn't think Captain America, that's another character I didn't think that despite his popularity would translate well from comics to live action. This film proved me wrong. It was awesome too. Spot on. Only changing a couple of minor details, especially in regards to Bucky. But awesome, awesome movie. Only the problem I might have with this film is that they omitted Red Skull's backstory. We know everything about Steve Rogers, Captain America, but we learned nothing about Red Skull. And then Hugo Weaving, who did a great job, a phenomenal job as the Red Skull, exited this cinematic universe. So that kind of ruined any plans for Red Red Skull, Red Skull appearing in any future MCU films. He would later appear in Endgame in a special role, but wanted him to be an antagonist of the Avengers and Captain America, like he was in the comics. That's actually Captain America's arch nemesis, Red Skull. So yeah, Captain America 2011, awesome film, one of the best of 2011, which 2011 was an awesome year for movies in my opinion. So yeah, this concludes the first part of this video. Because like I said, the next one is the biggest box office smash hit of 2012, Avengers, probably the greatest film of our time. This part will continue in part two. So with that being said, it's time for me to hit my music right now. Doesn't matter what you think. everybody. Super Vader 400 here, Douglas Blair Roberts, the brown skin human here. Time for part two of my review of the entire Marvel Cinematic Universe. When I last left off, I said I was going to talk about the Avengers. So yes, Avengers 2012, in my opinion, one of the greatest superhero films and movies of all time and of our time. The Avengers 2012. 2012, in my opinion, was not that good of a year for films. But one of the greatest films to come out that year was this movie right here, Avengers 2012. Finally, seeing Iron Man, Thor, Captain America, Hawkeye, Black Widow, Agent Fury, Loki, all these characters who were built up through in the Hulk, built up through individual films of their own, finally coming together for one awesome superhero smackdown. And boy, did this film not only live up to expectations, it exceeded my expectations. It even corrected several problems with the previous entries in the MCU. And another thing I like, for the most part, while changing a couple of things, this film was spot on with its comic books. This film, of course, was loosely based on the the original Avengers from the 60s, created by Stan Lee and Kirby, and of course, the Ultimate Avengers, which of course has a black, African American, brown Agent Fury, and Captain America is a founding member of this team, whereas in the 60s he joined the team much later, and Ant-Man was a founder of the original team. Actually, in the comics, Ant-Man gave them the Avengers name, but in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, Ant-Man joins the team much later. So, awesome film. Only problems I didn't like was Thanos' involvement in the film. Thanos' involvement in the film. He orchestrated everything. The invasion of the Chiar, and he instructed Loki to go to Earth and steal the Tesseract. Problem I had with this is that not only is this different from the comic books, it cheapens the villains, which were the Chitauri and Loki, and it just makes them minions of Thanos. It makes Thanos look like a useless idiot. If he wanted the Chitauri so bad, why did he go to Earth himself and fight the Avengers and take the Tesseract himself if he badly wanted the Tesseract. He waited several movies to where the Avengers were fully armed and powerful enough to fight him to finally embark on his quest. Now they told you why he couldn't go after the Mind Stone, that's the stone on Asgard, because he couldn't beat Odin and Hela and Surtur the monster. But what was stopping him from invading Earth and going to Morag to steal the stone Quill had stolen? What was stopping him from going up there? So that's the problem I had with this film. That's the problem I've had with Marvel and DC film villains. This is in both Marvel and DC. Marvel gets away with it. They have villains waiting up there in space, to attack Earth, and sending weaker, lesser powers to do their bidding for them when they can just do it themselves. Whereas in the comic books, there is the bad guys. They have their own world, their own problems, and there is something that happens which brings them into contact with our heroes. That's what happens in the comic books, but here in the films, they're just sitting here waiting all this time, sending less powerful people to do their work for them. That's the only problem I had with this awesome film. This film is one of the best of the Avengers trilogy. So that was Avengers 2012. 2012, one of the best films ever. Next film on this list is Iron Man 3, which I mentioned at the time. I had a good time with, but I hated it back when I saw it in 2013. This used to be one of my worst Marvel Cinematic Universe films. Now it's one of my favorites when I look at what it set up and just appreciate how far Marvel yeah, Marvel has come since then, and how it led to several important things later, like Age of Ultron and Civil War. But I remember at the time hating this film for the Mandarin subplot. See, in the first two Iron Man films, it was the same plot. The the bitter businessman wanting revenge on Tony Stark and trying to take control of his business and suits. It was the same plot. Here, in this film, and pretty much it was Iron Man fighting, in both versions, it was Iron Man fighting a machine guy or a guy in a suit. A guy in a suit. This film would have been different. The Mandarin is a Doctor Doom. Skeletor is a mythical Doctor Doom Skeletor type villain with the Ten Rings power, a more magical type of villain, and that would have been different from what we see in the previous one. From Iron Man fighting Iron Man and War Machine fighting other men and robots or other machine men. So um so to see the Mandarin plot, to see the Mandarin subplot where Ben Kingsley it was the other actor from the beginning. I can't remember his name. I think his name is Guy Pearce. I don't remember of his name. They call him Killian in the film, but seeing how it was, he was the Mandarin. See, he was the Mandarin. In my opinion, that guy would have been a good Lex Luthor, especially with what he did at the end, where he pretty much injected made his body like an Iron Man, which is similar to Luthor injecting his body with kryptonite to battle Superman. But yeah, there also wasn't a lot of Iron Man action, but I have more appreciation for this film now than I did back in 2013. Not only is the film funny, I don't have a problem with the Mandarin subplot anymore because I didn't like any Mandarin, and I like the fact that there was a one shot called All Hail to the King, where the real Mandarin did not like Killian and Kingsley's character taking his name, taking his name. So to hear that a real Mandarin that that a real Mandarin was out there made me like this film more, and I like this film much more now, especially now that I appreciate and understand Iron Man more. When it comes to Iron Man, the suit and stuff, when it comes to Iron Man and War Machine, even the Iron Man and War Machine suits, that's action and CGI and spectacle. Um, the films are really about Tony Stark, a selfish man learning to be selfish, and you see that in every film, and they also show how resourceful Tony Stark is even without the armor. So I appreciate the film much more now than I did back then. The film is a great spy action adventure thriller type film. So yeah, sorry about that. That was a pop up on my computer. Get these all the time. But yeah, let's move on to the next film. The next film I saw that year, of course, was Thor: The Dark World. Thor: The Dark World, which this film, when I first saw it, I loved it. Didn't really understand most much of it. And I thought there was way too much humor, way too much humor. When it's supposed to be a serious fantasy epic, action adventure fantasy epic film, there was way too much comedy. But I enjoy this film now, especially when I look at the development of Thor. I like how this Thor film gave us more what the last film didn't. One thing I didn't like about the last film, I mentioned this in the webcam portion of this review, was everything was too dark in the film, so it messed up the fight scenes. Here, here everything was filmed everything was filmed in daylight, and we got much more intense fight scenes, more screen time for underrated characters. The Warriors 3, they got to shine more. Awesome seeing Thor and Loki team up, and like how darker it got with Frida, Thor's mother, being killed. One of the saddest moments of the film. Then Loki's death, which was sad and epic, and the plot twist at the end where it was revealed he was alive and was posing as Odin. And I like the setup to the next film, then to one of the next films we're going to talk about. That is Guardians of the Galaxy. So Thor: Dark World, awesome film. Also love Thor's brand new costume from the Avengers 2012 film in this in this movie right here. So yeah, that's Thor the Dark World, one of the greatest films ever. In my opinion, one of the best of 2013. 13, in my opinion, really wasn't that good of a year for films either. Now we get to 2014, in my opinion, one of the best years for movies. I love 2014. Everything was so much better and awesome in 2014 for life, television, wrestling, sports, everything. Everything was so much more awesome in 2014. And the film industry did not disappoint. So many awesome films that year. The very first film from that year was Captain America: The Winter Soldier. This is widely considered by most people to be the best Marvel Cinematic Universe film of all time. But I think the film is just okay. It's one of the best, but it's not the best. It's not on my best list, but it's an awesome film. Just like Iron Man 3, great spy science fiction, great action adventure spy type movie movie. Only problem I would have had with that Hawkeye, who would have been awesome here, wasn't really involved with this movie right here. But I like the whole Hydra plot and how realistic this film was in comparison to the other Marvel Cinematic Universe films. I also like how um, pivotal to the plot Coulson, I mean Maria Hill and Fury was. They got to do much more in this film than in previous superhero films because, like I said, they were dealing with Hydra. They were dealing with Hydra, a group of mercenaries and super soldiers versus aliens, mutants, and titans like in the previous and other MCU films. So awesome film, not the best of all time, but an awesome movie, and it's one of the best of 2014 in my opinion. So yeah, Captain America: The Winter Soldier, more action. I didn't like Captain America's new costume in the film. I didn't like his new costume. I think the Winter Soldier outfit is absolutely terrible, especially the mask. He looks better without the mask though. I also didn't like Falcon's costume. He had an even worse costume than Captain America did in this movie. His costume looked like something out of GI Joe and not GI Joe and Agents of Shield and not Avengers. Even though in the Ultimate version he does look something like that. So yeah. So yeah. Yeah. Also love Bucky. Who Bucky was probably the best. Bucky was probably the best character in this film. Bucky and Sam Wilson pre Falcon are probably the best characters in this film. So yeah, another awesome film. Not the best film of all time, but one of the better entries in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Next is widely considered one of the best films in the cinematic universe, Guardians of the Galaxy, which when I saw this film for the first time, I was blown away. I first heard about the Guardians of the Galaxy through the 2012 Avengers film. After seeing the 2012 Avengers film and seeing how successful that was, Marvel thought they could do another team up movie based on the Guardians of the Galaxy franchise, and I watched John Campia's YouTube show where they were talking about this, so I did all the research on the Guardians of the Galaxy that I could, and I loved what I read and saw. I love what I read and saw, and I saw this film in 2014, and this film did not disappoint. I even saw this film in 3D, which made this film an even better experience, made it seem like I was there while they were filming. While they were filming, one of the best experiences I've ever had in theaters. Um, the film was awesome and all. After purchasing it on DVD and watching it several more times and learning more about the Guardians of the Galaxy and reading some of the Guardians of the Galaxy comic Marvel Now comics, I can see the flaws with the film. It's not the masterpiece I was when I saw it for the first time in 2014. A lot of things are off, and they wasted the villains, which are Korag, Ronan and Korak, who are way bigger in the film. I also not like Thanos' involvement in the movie. Thanos, once again, just like in the 2012 Avengers film, he is sending weaker people like Ronan and Korak to to go to the moon, Korra to go to the moon, to go to Morag, the moon where Quill is at the beginning, to retrieve the Infinity Stone when he could have done that himself and destroyed Xandar. But once again, he's all power. Thanos is all powerful, but is getting weaker and less powerful people to do his work for him. And now they do this because the main characters are not strong enough to fight Thanos. But what's the excuse in the fictitious universe right now? We know why they don't do it in real life, but what's the excuse in the fictitious universe? So that's one of the problems I had. Another problem I had is the power scaling in this film. Everyone in this movie is weaker compared to the Titans they are in the Marvel comic books. And even Quill, a regular human who is half God in the who is the son of an alien, who is the son of an alien, has God like power. Everyone here is weaker compared to what they were in the films. But this film was one of the best science fiction films of 2014, and still one of the most entertaining entries in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Not the best film like a lot of people say, but one of the better entries in the 2014 film, and it introduced me to the the Guardians of the Galaxy comic books, which are so much better than these movies. Than both of these Guardians of the Galaxy movies right now. I'm going to talk about the next one later in this review. Now for the next review, the next film. The next film was, of course, hold on, let me pause and make sure I got it right. Just want to get these orders right. The next film is, yes, I was right. The next film is Avengers, Age of Ultron. Age of Ultron, which to tell you the truth, people, when I watched this film for the first time, when I saw this film when I heard about this film, I was initially excited. When I saw the script, when I saw the screenplay for this film, my excitement turned to disappointment after seeing powerful characters like Ronan, Korra, Thanos, Thanos, Loki, and Loki. I do not want to see the Avengers. I do not want to see the Avengers fighting a robot. You can't convince me that a robot is a match for the Avengers, especially Avengers such as Hulk, Thor, and Iron Man. Maybe the human Avengers like Captain America, Hawkeye, and Black Widow, but not Thor, not Thor, not Thor, not Thor, Iron Man, and Hulk. So that right there, my excitement turned to disappointment. But I still was gonna watch the film because I still was gonna watch it. I'm pretty sure that the spectacle will be enough for the film, even if the screenplay and storyline are weak. Once again, this film completely exceeded my expectations, and this film was bigger, badder than the first one. And Ultron, Spader, his actor, managed Ultron, in my opinion, probably is the best MCU villain when it came to motivation, when it came to character and motivation. They actually managed to make a robot relatable and actually good and threatening. A lot of people say he wasn't that threatening. In the end, he probably wasn't. But like I said, a robot in a world where all these superhumans, a robot is just not entertaining to me here or in the comic books. But they managed to make what I saw as a bland robot. My introduction to Ultron was the Avengers United They Stand cartoon. There, I just thought he was a bland robot. They managed to make a bland robot one of the best characters ever. The plot reminded me of Terminator and Predator. And the film was awesome. I also love how spot on with the comics this was. Even though this film says the Age of Ultron, it's not based on the Age of Ultron comic books. It's based on the origin of Ultron and Vision, who had a big role in this film, and the twins, Wanda and Quicksilver, Black Widow and Quicksilver, who of course joined the Avengers. The Quicksilver of this universe has no relation to Magneto, but was closest to his comic book counterpart than X-Men Cinematic Universe Quicksilver. Even though I think that Quicksilver right there, I think that Quicksilver is better than the MCU one. But that's just me. So yeah, an awesome film. Bigger, badder, and the best. Probably the best Avengers film, with the first one probably being the second one. But this is probably the best Avengers film of all time. Awesome story, best villain when it came to motivation, best villain, and I like how it led directly into one of the next films I'm going to talk about, Captain America: Civil War. But before that, the next film on this list, Ant-Man 2015, in my opinion, Ant-Man, one of the best and underrated Marvel Cinematic Universe films. Unlike the other MCU films, this film is popular and was well received by critics, but it's sort of overlooked in comparison to other Marvel Cinematic Universe films. It doesn't get the same type of fanfare. At the box office, neither this or its sequel did good, but this film right here is one of the best films of all time. I like how old school and down to earth this film was. They managed to make a film about ants and a guy shrinking to a size of an ant and growing big. They managed to make that all complex. I can barely tell you what it's about. I understand the basic plot, but how the suit and ants work in the quantum realm and stuff. It's just way too complex. I also love this film for its humor. This film, in my opinion, was the comedy was is the MCU comedy. I laughed harder at this film than I did at Guardians of the Galaxy. Guardians of Guardians of the Galaxy. So yeah, Ant-Man 2015, one of the best films of all time in my opinion. Ant-Man, one of the best superheroes in the Marvel Cinematic universe. Universe. Now the next film on this list, let me check the thing again to make sure I have it right. The next film, the next film on this list, of course, is oh yes, I was right. Captain America, Captain America Civil War, probably the best Marvel Cinematic Universe film of all time because of how realistic it is and the social issues combined with comic book elements make this film social and realistic issues combined with comic book elements make this film the realistic film. When it comes to superheroes, I love when they do storylines centered around that alternate view of superheroes where there are some people who will like and appreciate what you did, and then there's some people who will hate what you did and will try to put restrictions on you. If superheroes existed in real life, they would not allow them to walk around and do as they please. They would try to control them and control their missions and where they go and stuff. And you saw it in this film. But then you see Captain America's point of view where where um where other organizations like Hydra, the government and stuff, they have agendas too. They may try to control the Avengers and try to control the Avengers and have it where they meet their demands and suit their needs and stuff like that, and try and use them to become tyrants or use them to take over the world and become tyrants of their own. So Captain America's way was probably better, even though I'm probably, even though I'm more on Tony Stark's side of the film, even though Cap is pretty much the main character of this movie. It was awesome, from the opening fight scene with Hydra, with Hydra to the final climactic battle between Bucky, Cap, and Iron Man. What a fight that was. Then also followed by, before that, the memorable airport scene where Captain America, Hawkeye, Ant-Man, Falcon, Bucky, Bucky, and Black Widow, Black Widow, Black Widow fought Iron Man, War Machine, Spider-Man making his debut in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, Vision, Vision, and Vision and Black Widow in an awesome superhero battle royale at the airport scene. What a like I said, what an awesome film this was, and this right here was the highest grossing film of 2016. 2016, if you were not Civil War or Deadpool 2, Deadpool 1, your film didn't make a lot of money, even though I love 2016 for films and thought 2016 was an awesome year. 2014, 15, and 16 were awesome years movies. And like I said, Civil War, that was awesome film, man. Next film on this list is, my opinion, also one of the best films of the MCU. Another one of the best films of the MCU, because this film was vastly different from any other Marvel Cinematic Universe film, and that was Doctor Strange. One thing I like about this film was about magic, chi, and mysticism over science fiction like in previous Marvel's films. Even the closest film to this, Thor, which is also fantasy, was more sci-fi fantasy fantasy. But like I said, this was mysticism, chi, and magic. So magic and martial arts, which might made it vastly different from any previous entry in the Marvel Cinematic Universe film. And Doctor Strange is one of my all-time favorite characters. Been a huge fan of him since the Spider-Man cartoons, the 1980s Spider-Man His Amazing Friends, and the animated series, where I was introduced to Doctor Strange, Mortal, and the antagonist Dormammu. Dormammu loved I love how they, for the most part, stayed true to who Doctor Strange was, only changing several minor details such as Mortal's origin, having him be an ally to Doctor Strange when he's always been a nemesis to Doctor Strange in the comics, and the controversial change of the Ancient One from a male to a female, and that's the only problem I had was the actress portraying um, the Ancient One was Caucasian, when in the comic books the Ancient One is Asian. Asians can't even play; they couldn't even play their own stereotypes. So that's one problem I had with this film. But the action, story, and yeah, one of the best films of the um, the Marvel the Marvel Cinematic Universe. The next film the next film on this list is Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, which I think this film, while not as funny as the previous Guardians of the Galaxy movie, the 2014 version, this film was more comic book like. It was more Guardians of the Galaxy, especially the opening scene when they were fighting the monster, and the final battle between Quill and Ego when they were fighting through space. With that I keep forgetting what that song was called, but yeah, this film was better. This film, story and comic book wise, was much better than the previous Guardians of the Galaxy film. Even though I thought the first one was funnier, but and also love how powerful Quill was in this movie, and loved this film also features the debut of Mantis, who they meet on Ego's planet. What I didn't like about this film was they announced before this film that Quill's father would not be Jason, son of Spartacus from from the um the comic books, but they did say it would be they said that. So I expect that, but one thing I did not like, and I heard about this, but I wanted to be shocked when I saw this movie, so I stayed off these spoilers that Kurt Russell would be a villain in this film. But I forgot all about that when I saw this film, and now it came together. And I hate how Ego in the comics, he has nothing to do with, he's neutral. He has nothing to do with he's neutral and unaffiliated with anyone. He's neither evil nor good. But I hate how first off, they made him a villain, despite his neutral alignment in the comic books. And I hate how they made him Quill's father when in the comic books. Now, like I said, it's Jason, son of Spartans. Yeah, that's what you call it. What's his name? Like I said, I like the Guardians of the Galaxy films, the actors, the actors and special effects people, but I did not like the screenwriters, man. Screenwriters, man. They just take random material from the comic books and randomly insert it anywhere in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and that is something I do not like. So yeah, but still a good film. Also love the setup at the end where they tease the character of Adam Warlock for a future Guardians of the Galaxy film. The next film of that year was Spider-Man Homecoming, finally, Spider-Man's debut film in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. If you know me, I absolutely hated those amazing Spider-Man films that were out 5 years ago. And I'm so happy that Spider-Man is back in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I loved his debut in Civil War, and this film right here was just as awesome. Probably the best Spider-Man film of all time. This is probably story wise the best Spider-Man film of all time. I still prefer the Tobey Maguire films because that Spider-Man is a much older Spider-Man, which is my favorite incarnation of Spider-Man, Peter Parker, college, college, and workforce Spider-Man. That's my favorite Spider-Man. Whereas this one is younger as a student, Tony Stark, and is still in high school. Is still in high school, but this Tom Holland, probably the best Spider-Man on film. He captures the humor, the seriousness and stoicism of Spider-Man. Everything, everything. You had Tobey Maguire, who was awesome, but he was weak when it came to the quips and humor. Quips and humor. Then you had Andrew Garfield, who had the quips, but was an awful, atrocious Peter Parker. And I didn't like his Spider-Man either, but at least he had the quips. I didn't like his Spider-Man either, but you got Tom Holland who got both of them right, and love the film and love how they modernized Vulture, a villain I've never cared about that much in the film. He was always a gimmick villain. I love how they modernized him, and he wasn't really a villain. He was salvaging the technology, trying to provide for his family. He was a guy who got fired from his job, and he salvaged the technology left over from the Avengers battle, to left over from the Avengers battle to create the technology. And I like how this film we got two shockers. We got and two shockers and Vulture. Vulture. Love the love triangle between between Tom Holland, Peter Parker, Zendaya Coleman, Michelle, who was the MJ on this film, and Liz, the new updated Liz Allen. The end of this film almost had me crying. You weren't crying, but you almost wanted to because the love triangle was so beautiful, was so much better done than the previous amazing Spider-Man films um 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 between Emma Stone and Andrew Garfield, which was absolutely atrocious. So one thing I didn't like about this film was apart from the shocker battles and funny battle and a funny battle between these guys dressed as the Avengers with Avengers mask on, these robbers with Avengers mask on. There wasn't much action in the movie. It was more superhero than action. But awesome Spider-Man, awesome Spider-Man. Also yeah, also this was probably his best costume of any Spider-Man film besides the black suit in Spider-Man 3. But yeah, that was Spider-Man Homecoming. Awesome film. And can't wait for Far From Home, which is later on this year. The next film. The next film is Thor Ragnarok. I watched the leaked copy because I didn't feel like going to the theaters. I didn't feel like going to the theaters, and the leaked copy did not do this film justice. This film, one of the problems I have with this film, and actually I still have a problem with this film after seeing the DVD version, the way the film was meant to be seen, was that this film, while story and action wise was good, this film looked like a bland made for TV sci-fi film with the Marvel characters. This didn't look and feel like a Marvel Cinematic Universe film. But after watching the DVD version and watching it more to see what it led up to, I enjoy this film much better now. I consider this film to be one of the best of 2017. There were a lot of good films in 2017, but in my opinion, 2017 for movies, was just a colossal disappointment. It wasn't as exciting as 14, 15, and 16 was, even though there were a lot of good films. But I enjoy this film better. Now I like how they made. I like one thing. I like how they made. I've been a fan of Thor since day one. But I like how they made Thor popular with more popular with younger viewers because out of all the Marvel Cinematic Universe characters, um he was the least received. So I like how they gave him more of a sense of humor. They gave him the badass haircut and new armors, the two new armors and boots he wore in the movie, and the climactic final battle Valkyrie, Loki, and Hulk were fighting Hela and Surtur. Then the post credit scene when after they thought everything was over, Loki was like, "You think it's a good idea to bring me back to Earth?" And Thor was like, "Yeah, what else could go wrong?" And out of nowhere, there's Thanos and his ship, and immediately leading into the next film I'm about to talk about, Avengers Infinity War, the biggest box office smash hit film, the biggest box office smash hit film of 2018, the biggest box office spectacle of 2018. I had high expectations for this film, but once again, due to personal problems, I didn't go to the movie theater. I was dealing with a lot of personal problems, so I didn't go to the theaters. And I watched a lot of reviews and the negative reviews and rants on this film. I did not like what I was hearing. Bruce Banner not being the Hulk in this film and using the Iron Buster from the previous film, hearing about several deaths and several character actions, cat actions, and just hearing about a bunch of things I didn't like about this film. And then hearing about how there was so much comedy in the film, that immediately turned me against the film, and I decided to watch a recopy. Once again, I was blown away. Once again, this film, I underestimated Marvel again. Every time I underestimate them, they always prove me wrong. Every time I go into the film thinking that they're gonna suck, and it's gonna be a disappointment, I always come out eating my words, man. This film, while I do have problems, this film was the biggest box office spectacle of 2018. This film was bigger than any film, even bigger than other films like Transformers, the entire DC extended universe at the time. Um, um, the Star Wars and Star Trek films, and any other big budget action film you can think of. This film, spectacle wise, was than all of them. Bigger than all of them. I like the story, actors, production team, and everything. One thing, what I didn't like about this film are the Russo brothers, the screenwriters of the film. That was the worst part. The writing in this film. Lots of characters did stupid stuff, and they wasted characters, such as Loki and Vision's death. These were two of the biggest wasted characters in the film. Now I knew Loki and Vision were gonna die, but I expected their deaths to be much more climactic. Same with Gamora's, whose death, in my opinion, was also pathetic. Was also pathetic in the film. Let's start off with Gamora's death. Because she had the worst death in the film. Now I knew Thanos would kill Gamora, but once again I expected it to be more climactic after an epic battle or something. After an epic battle, no. Instead, it was Thanos in order to obtain the Soul Stone, just throwing Gamora off of a cliff. Throwing it was basically throwing Gamora off of a cliff. That was her death. That was her big climactic death. I'm like, are you serious? Are you serious? Actually made me hate the Gamora character up until Endgame. But yeah. Next death was Loki's death. The next pathetic death. Loki first he sicks the Hulk on Thanos. When that fails, instead of laying low, maybe Thanos will forget about you. No, he gets up and pretends to join Thanos' side, and immediately just raises his scepter, raises his knife or scepter up at Thanos, and Thanos easily blocks it, grabs him, and just straight up strangles and chokes him. Chokes him like, are you serious? The death was sad, but I was laughing because I'm like, Loki is smarter than that. He didn't even try to use the shadow clone jutsu, get one of the clones to stab him from behind or something. I mean, to distract him while he stabs him from behind. He just pretended to gain his favor, then tried to raise the knife up on Thanos, blocked him and just strangled him to death and threw it right in front of Thor. Kristen Hemsworth the scene. Saved the scene was like Loki, no Loki, and him crying over Loki's white lifeless body. That scene right there I love, and that whole entire intro scene was just scary. What a beautiful and awesome way to start Infinity War. Incredible Thor versus Hulk. Thanos, Thor and Thor and the Hulk versus Thanos were my favorite battles in this film. Were my favorite battles in film. You take out already two of the most powerful characters in the films, Thor, Heimdall, and Hulk already, which immediately sets the tone for the rest of the film. For the rest of the film. So yeah, other problems I had with the film, Drax. Not only Drax and Gamora doing stupid stuff, and Gamora, instead of following Quill's plan, she pretty much led. She attacks Thanos, which allows her to be kidnapped by Thanos, which pretty much has Thanos lead her to where the Soul Stone was. Then, then you had Nebula, who also did stupid stuff at the end of Guardians of the Galaxy film. She promised she would make everything right by trying to kill Thanos alone instead of joining the Guardians of the Galaxy right there, or joining the Guardians of the Galaxy right there and combating Thanos as a team. No, she decides to go on a suicide mission of her own and try to kill Thanos. Ends up getting captured and tortured to death, forcing Gamora to reveal where the Soul Stone is. Like I said, dumb. Then Drax immediately Drax. You couldn't even beat Ronan the Accuser, and you're trying to attack. You're trying to attack Thanos head on. Once again, the characters doing stupid stuff in this film. Doctor Strange needs to protect the Time Stone, so he makes sure he brings the Time Stone with him all the way to Titan, so they can do what they did at the end. They can do what they did at the end. Quill pretty much doing the entire universe when they had him. So yeah, and Nebula once again, she didn't have to open her mouth. She could have waited until after the battle was over. So the characters doing stupid stuff was what I had problems with. I have huge problems with the screenplay. Lots of plot holes and inconsistencies and just dumb stuff, man. So yeah, but Avengers Infinity War, biggest box office spectacle 2018, man. One of my best films of 2018. Next film of this year, the next MCU film this year was Ant-Man and the Wasp, which I was looking forward to this film more than Avengers Infinity War. And this film, in my opinion, was probably better than Avengers Infinity War. This was another heist type film, and after seeing the epically depressing Avengers Infinity War film, I wanted a more fun, lighthearted, campy, summer action, science fiction, adventure, heist film, and that's what this was. That's what this was. That's what this was up until the ending. The ending of this film was so good, it pissed me the fuck off, man. After seeing everything resolve at the end of the film, when when um when Lang is going back into the quantum realm, Hank Pym and Hank and the mother all disintegrate, and Scott Lang is trapped in the quantum realm. Is trapped in the quantum. I was mad because when I first saw this film, I thought this film right here. I thought this film was took place after Thanos already did the snap in the previous film. No, this film, one of the cooler things about this film now, this film was taking place right while all that was happening. So right while the Guardians of the Galaxy and the Avengers and the Wakandan soldiers were fighting Thanos, this whole Ant-Man, this whole heist was taking place. I like how both these things were taking place simultaneously, and both of them coincide with each other and set up the next big film I'm about to talk about, and that is Avengers Endgame. That is Avengers Endgame. But before we get to that, oh yeah, I got one film to talk about before we get to that. That is Captain Marvel. That is Captain Marvel. My new worst. Oh wait, I got one more film to talk about before Captain Marvel. Can't believe I forgot about it. But before Captain Marvel, I gotta talk about Black Panther. And I'm only gonna talk about this briefly because I hate it. Black Panther. Black Panther is one of my worst Marvel Cinematic Universe film. That's why I just basically forgot about it because I hate this movie right here. First off, you have Black Panther and Killmonger. Both of these guys suck in their own film. Killmonger, one problem I have with Killmonger, he is not street, he is not hood, which I had a problem with. This film felt like Boys in the Hood, Menace to Society, and Jews meets meets Thor basically. That's what this whole movie felt like. If felt like if I want to watch Menace to Society, Boys in the Hood, and Jews, I will watch those movies. But that's what this movie felt like. It was absolutely terrible. T'Challa, T'Challa, he was much better in Civil War in the Avengers movies than he was here. The only highlight of this film was the beautiful Wakandan women who had better fight scenes in this film than the man. There was also a bunch of SJW garbage in this movie. Do not put SJW garbage in my films. But that was Black Panther. The next film I have to talk about is the second worst Marvel film of all time. This is actually probably even worse than Black Panther, and that is Captain Marvel. I had high expectations for this film, and this film did not live up to them. The film itself is actually okay. It's not too horrible, but it's not too good either. This movie right here, this movie did one thing that I deem unforgivable. This film had the audacity. This film had the audacity to kill. This film had the audacity to one, not only make Marvel a male character in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, in the Marvel comic books, a male character. They not only they turned Marvel into a female, they killed they killed her off. They killed off the character. So Carol Danvers, the second Captain Marvel can be the face of the Captain Marvel franchise and later the entire MCU. Screw you, Marvel, for doing that. I am not watching any more Captain Marvel movies. She's okay in team up movies where she's surrounded by better actors. Better actors. Brie Larson, she's not that good, but she's not that bad. She's not that bad either, but she's not that good either. She's somewhere between, and she's always outclassed by better actors in whatever film she's in whatever Marvel film she's in. Because you're doing it, I refuse to watch any Captain Marvel films in theaters. And I didn't watch this film in theaters. Me and a friend of mine, my father and a friend of mine were supposed to watch this in theaters, but we couldn't agree on a time and date for this film, so I decided to skip it. Then I didn't like all the SJW garbage I heard about this film. When I watched it, the film, like I said, it was okay, but it was nothing special. It was just in between. It was just in between. But what they did, what they did, the two things they did, it really gives this film a failing grade. It makes this one of the worst comic book and superhero movies of all time, man, of all time. And it was just terrible. Captain Marvel, she was basically, I agree with everyone, she was basically a Mary Sue, basically Mary Sue. And see, hearing about all the stuff, the trouble Brie Larson was causing in interviews, that would make it hard to root for her in movies. So yeah, Captain Marvel. Captain Marvel. So yeah, the next film on this list, finally, the end game, the end game of the culmination of the entire phase 1 through 3, phase 3 of Marvel, the entire first half of the Marvel Cinematic universe, Avengers Endgame. This film right here is, in my opinion, the best and worst film of all time. The film, the film was awesome. Story, action, drama, special effects, everything, everything. The film was awesome. However, this film had terrible SJW garbage. Problems I had with the film: Fat Thor, and the feminist woman powers movement in the final battle. In the final battle, which the final battle is one of the best scenes in the film, when all the characters return. But before I talk about that awesome moment, during the battle, when when during the battle, first off, only Captain America, Iron Man, and Thor fought Thanos, and they got their butts kicked by they got some good shots in. They all three got their butts kicked by Thanos. Um, Thanos. None of the other male MCU characters even encountered Thanos in the battle. They just killed a bunch of Black Order members in bland CGI creatures, whereas Captain Marvel and Black Widow had the best showing against Thanos. Even Pepper Potts, the Wakandan soldiers, and who else? Valkyrie got a good shot at Thanos when they were clearing the way for Captain Marvel to carry the gauntlet to the van over there. Thor, when Brie Larson, Captain Marvel fought Thanos, none of his attacks had any effects. He had to take off the Infinity Stone and punch the living daylights out of Captain Marvel, which I enjoyed in this film. I did not want her killing Thanos, and I'm glad they didn't do that. Even though, from a plot standpoint, that probably should have happened, but I'm glad they didn't do that. Next was and Black Widow. Black Widow managed to nearly tear off Thanos' armor and force him into the air, force him to do the whole rain fire type maneuver. But you see what I'm saying? The females shine more than the men did in the film. The men did in the film. Then at the end of the film, Thor surrenders his rule to a woman, surrenders his rule and authority to a woman to go into space with the Guardians of the Galaxy, even though the throne is birthright. So that's right there what makes it the worst, but what makes it the best was the time travel plot. I'm not gonna criticize the time travel stuff because time travel, no matter what medium it's in, doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense to me. I've actually never seen Back to the Future. Next was I love the camaraderie between characters. Captain Marvel, she was much better in this film than she was in the previous one. She wasn't in it much. She was only at the beginning, which was awesome, and at the end. And I love the best scene was when they brought everyone back. When they brought everyone back, I thought they were gonna bring everyone back after killing Thanos. I thought they were gonna have the original Avengers, the founding Avengers, save the world and set the tones and set the stage and inspire the other characters to carry the torch for phase 4 of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. But instead, no. Instead, instead, it, instead they had everyone right when Captain America was about to take on Thanos' army alone. They had all they had Black Panther, the Wakandan soldiers, Doctor Strange teleport the Guardians of the Galaxy, Spider-Man, Valkyrie, and the Asgardians like Pepper Potts in the Iron Man suit, Black Widow, everyone, Sam, everyone coming back, the Ravengers, they're coming back and finally Captain America saying the epic phrase, Avengers, assemble, and everyone charging for an awesome battle. It was awesome, man. And that right there saves this film, makes it the best. It's the best and worst Marvel film of all time. And in the end, when Iron Man sacrificed himself, man, it's already sad when I go back and watch the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I miss both those guys already. I don't want Brie Larson to be the face of Marvel. And now that brings to the next part of the video, where I give my thoughts on the future of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I'm hoping the remaining Avengers, Guardians of the Galaxy, Doctor Strange, the X-Men, and Fantastic Four, who are supposed to be returning to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Marvel Cinematic Universe. I hope they can keep it interesting because I am not. It's going to be hard to top Phase one through three of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It's going to be hard to top this, man. And I hope they can keep it going because I damn sure not want to see no Brie Larson. I'm not watching any films with her. So yeah, I already miss Chris Evans and Robert Downey Jr. Man. I wish they would extended their contracts even more past this film. I knew they would eventually have to leave, but not so soon. But yeah, this film right here was truly an end game. Oh yeah, and Black Widow's death too. And I'm mixed about Captain America going back into the past to live with I keep forgetting her name. But yeah. So yeah, this was my my review of the entire Marvel Cinematic Universe and my thoughts on the future. Oh yeah, got one more thing to talk about. Spider-Man: Far From Home with Mysterio as the villain. And now after seeing this film, I can't wait for Spider-Man Far From Home, which that's the end. This is the end. This is the official end of Phase 3, and the beginning of Phase 4 is both. And I can't wait. Mysterio's the bad guy. Agent Fury is gonna be there. Maybe a hero will be there. Yeah, yeah. So I can't wait to see the cast back. The trailers for this film were awesome. I'm gonna talk more about that in my Spider-Man movie review series. With that being said, people, I am done for now. I'll see you guys later. Enjoy the music. It's gonna be 3 outros.